Welcome to Shalom World Podcast.
Hi, and welcome to Beats on Shalom World. My name's Kevin Kapchinski. I'm a Catholic musician based in Texas in the United States. We're so happy you're here. This is a show that's all about spotlighting Catholic musicians and artists and seeing what the Spirit's doing in their lives and in the world. And today, we have joining us the one and only Teresa Peterson.
I was speaking life over all of these broken circumstances, knowing I'm going to walk in the breakthrough currently, and I'm going to start rejoicing now.
Redemption came to sing our love's endless song.
There's been so much heartache, so much disappointment, so much struggle. It has tested my faith in so many other ways.
Father of glory and light, you are faithful.
I felt like the Lord spoke to me so loudly, it almost could have been audible.
That's the reality of what's happening in the domestic church in your life and in my life, and the Holy Spirit's working through us all.
Something in my spirit shifted, and I felt like my whole life changed.
You bring the dead to life. You are faithful. You are the first and the last.
There is nothing more satisfying for me than leading a whole congregation of people, and we're like this whole body, this whole family, and we're all connected and we're just worshiping the Lord.
Teresa Peterson. How are you doing, Teresa?
Hey, Kevin, I am doing great. So happy to be here.
Well, so happy to have you. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. I kind of wonder though, like as you grew up, right? I guess music has been a part of your life for a long time. What kind of got you started in music, and at what point did like Catholicism and music kind of get married?
Yeah, so my family is very musical. And so my dad was a worship leader, not that they called it that, but he led worship for all the prayer meetings. He was part of the Charismatic Renewal in the 70s. And by the time that my sister and I showed up, they weren't really leading much of those meetings at that time, but he was still leading worship in the house. And I felt just a marked shift. Like we would listen to secular music and in the house as well, but there was something so different with worshiping God in just such an intimate way in the living room, truly just being able to sing God's praises. Because no matter if we are leading worship for hundreds of people or thousands of people, it is truly just the glory and honor due to God, the audience of one, right? And so anyway, so that in my spirit left a mark for, I couldn't even probably articulate what it was, but I knew that was really special. And so as I was pursuing music and doing music lessons and all these other things and being in plays and all the normal young kids stuff, it really wasn't until I started noticing, I was like, oh, I have a voice and people are noticing, like in choir I was getting solos, etc. And I didn't really feel like I ever did anything that was remarkable or would ever cause anybody to be like, oh, that was really amazing. And I meet the Lord. I give him my heart when I'm 14. You know, he speaks this word of life over me at 16, but he wasn't particularly specific in how it was supposed to come about. So at the time, I really loved country music. Still do. Christian music as well is what we grew up on. And so I was pursuing like secular music. And at the time too, even like Christian artists or worship artists wasn't really a thing too much in like the late 90s, early 2000s. And so I just kind of figured at the time I would maybe just sing songs that were truthful. And I could be an artist that was Christian. But it really wasn't until I started consistently leading worship that I felt just this huge shift where I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I was created.
Yeah.
That's a long, windy story. But so I have a lot of love for just really wonderful and art as well. So like a really well-crafted song is amazing. And so then having great craft can lift you to the heights, but then also adding in that element of worship is almost intangible.
Our hearts you came to save and give us victory over vice and grave. You changed our history when blood and water flowed. Heaven's love poured down. 'Cause he makes all things new.
You described this moment, you're at a net retreat when you're 16, right? And you received this like prophetic word from God. What was the arc like, and what were the circumstances by which that happened?
So I do remember, so it was a short little weekend retreat in the winter. I want to say it was February. And we had just done confession. And so there was just this quiet like worship and adoration. And it's kind of a charismatic youth ministry as well. So they're open to the Spirit. And so hopefully, so there was a lot of people just like resting in the Spirit. They were really immersed. It was really reverent. And so really at this moment, everyone seems to be having this really deep prayer. And I was not resting in the Spirit. I was singing and I was just there, but I was a little sad because it seemed like an experience that I was like, I want that to happen to me too. And
yeah,
so
you didn't want to feel left out or something.
Yeah, I did, but I didn't want it to be like inauthentic. So I was like, anyway, so I'm in the moment and I'm in there and just adoring the Lord and I'm singing and it's just me like the worship leader and straight up everybody's like, they're just down. and so I was just like, it's fine. I'm fine. I love you, Jesus. Right. And I'm just like worshiping. And then it was, and so it was just in that moment that was my moment too. So, and I've rested in the Spirit later. I felt like the Lord spoke to me so loudly, it almost could have been audible. It was, I don't know if it was, but it felt like it was. And he just spoke to my heart and it was so profound. And he was just saying, Teresa, I want you to sing for me and I want you to sing for them. And from that moment on, I just decided to carry and foster that word from the Lord, and really just try to carry it with the great responsibility and reverence that I think that it's due. So I really pursued music as a career, but also as a vocation, which bringing beauty, goodness, truth, the angels that are closest to God in heaven, in his throne room, are singing and proclaiming the holy is the Lord. And so I think it's easy to kind of maybe look down on musicians or something. It's not the most maybe lucrative. Well, it's lucrative for some people, but lucrative or successful. But to me, it's really a mission and a call from the Lord to really proclaim his goodness through song and worship. So
that's such an amazing story. And I love hearing stories of like what the Holy Spirit's doing in people's lives and like where God is moving the church, right? Because that's the reality of what's happening in the domestic church in your life and in my life, and the Holy Spirit's working through us all. It's so cool to see. Like, just did you have like support from your parents and stuff like that as well, like backing you up or what?
It did. If you can imagine, they were like, do it. You have to go for your dreams. And which was wonderful. I don't know if I could have done that had they frowned upon it. So they were very encouraging. They knew the gift and kind of the call that I had in my life. And I was pursuing at that time secular music. And so again, because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. But I think what's wonderful too, and this is where I think it's really important to have the most amazing art we possibly can within the Catholic Church, because we used to be the herald of art and in the Renaissance as well. And so like somehow we like pass the torch onto the secular market, and I'm not sure where, but we need to pick that torch back up. And so I'm so thankful that initially my time doing a lot of the secular music really helped give me the skill set of what it takes to like write a song and craft music to the extent and to the heights of where it needs to be from like an excellent standpoint. And so bringing that, and then when the Lord kind of brought me out of that and then into more in more of this worship field in the Christian market too, I was like, oh, well, I feel like wildly prepared for this, The only thing that really changed was that instead of maybe writing breakup songs or songs about love or relationships, but it was really then it joined my prayer to the craft. And that was when I felt like sparks were flying in my soul. It's like, this is why I was made.
He was and he will be.
I want to know, like, were there any moments where you felt like God was truly present while you were really in the grind, while you were working, while you were writing, and what moments kind of stuck out, have stuck out throughout your career that you felt the Spirit working? Share with us that.
It's so interesting because it can be so personal if you're a singer, and especially if then you sing the songs that you write. It's really hard to be maybe objective or other things like that. So you're just really, really connected, and you're also you care so much about the outcome. You want to share it, and then you also want people to receive it and to be received. And not that it's about a vainglory, but you're not sharing for yourself. Otherwise, people just stay in their little holes and write songs and be happy. So there's this, I think, which again echoes the heart of the Lord, who desires to create and to have the echo to be returned. So yeah, there's been so much heartache, so much disappointment, so much struggle. It has tested my faith in so many other ways. Sometimes there's been dark moments where I'm like, did I hear you wrong at 16? What am I even doing? Are you sure this is where I'm supposed to be? And I was like, I thought I was doing a good job. Maybe I'm not. Maybe I need to do something else. Do I need to I don't know, be a bus driver? I just need to change. Anyway, there's been so many times I wanted to either leave the calling, change my path, let it go. Yeah. But it always comes back. And I think the best and most rewarding time for me was in 2014, I think. So I had pursued secular music for about 10 years. And at that time, and it's gonna sound dramatic, but it's my life. So it was dramatic. And so really I felt like the dream had died. So I felt like at that time I had carried this word. I thought I was supposed to be further along than where I was supposed to. And then I just felt like all of music and the whole thing just kind of died. And I was like, okay, well, maybe this is something I did in my 20s. Everybody else is having adult jobs and this is what they're gonna do. And so this was a cool thing I did. And then my husband ends up getting accepted to a graduate program at the University of Pennsylvania. So we ended up moving to Philadelphia. And my whole world opens up. I've never moved to Philadelphia. We didn't know anybody, but the Lord had a plan. And he just started bringing in all these other people from Nashville coming through Philadelphia. I don't know. It's a remarkable story. But long story short, all of a sudden, I just feel this invitation from the Lord that's like, I know music broke your heart, but I didn't. Will you come back and will you keep writing? But this time, writing for me, yes. And so I just remember where our little apartment was in downtown Philadelphia was right around the corner from, they called them the Pink Sisters, but they're the Sisters of Perpetual Love. There were pink habits, like Pepto-Bismol pink. They're amazing. Yeah. Anyway, and so they had perpetual adoration. So literally every day, because I didn't have a job right after I moved there. And so every day I went to adoration, my journal, I'm like, oh my gosh, Jesus, I can't believe you're asking me to do this again. I don't even know if this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And you remember how it crashed and burned last time? Anyway, so it was a lot of drama, but it was amazing because it was exactly what I was supposed to do. And so Calling Me Higher, it was one of the first singles off of my EP, Freely
so
Fully.
Good.
Yes. And so that song, that was the first time where I sat down and I was so scared because I'm can I even write songs again? Is this what I'm supposed to do? And I pray, I open up the Bible, start praying with the Psalm 42. And I'm just okay. And that was when the Holy Spirit became my co-writer and we just wrote this song together. And it felt like something in my spirit shifted and I felt like my whole life changed.
And give in to the beauty of the breeze blowing by.
You got all these different songs out and stuff like that, and they're all so good, but what's the most inspirational song for you?
That's such an honoring question as an artist. Thank you. So I think Faithful probably is one that's very, very dear to my heart. And I wrote that one specifically, and that whole record too, is really just to really prophesy and over my life and in a lot of barren circumstances to really speak life over these circumstances. And that even though I wasn't walking in the breakthrough that I wanted to see from the Lord, I was speaking life over all of these broken circumstances, knowing that I'm going to walk in the breakthrough currently, and I'm going to start rejoicing now, because even though it hasn't come to completion yet, it doesn't mean that it won't. And so I still feel a lot of it really resonates with me, that message and that intention. And And probably also then calling me higher too, but that one was really just sentimental for the resurrection value of it. But
Father of glory and light, you bring the dead to life. You are the first and the last, redeemer of my past. Oh God, you are faithful. Father of glory and life, you are faithful. You bring the dead to life. You are faithful.
I love that, like, you're putting out these songs that like seriously change people's life. Like, it's incredible, dude. You're amazing.
oh my gosh, thank
Honestly.
you so much.
I wanted to ask, what's going on? What's happening in your life?
After I released Faithful in 2018, then we actually partnered with Encounter Ministries. And so I ended up being their worship leader for the last 2 years until COVID. They were based in Michigan, so we moved back to Minnesota. And so I was full-time worship leading. We were running huge events. That was definitely not a time to create. It was a lot of output. So moving here and kind of being in like the COVID quarantine monastic life. So for me, what was beautiful coming out of that, what I would almost consider a whirlwind of just activity and output, that the Lord brought us to this really quiet, intimate place. And I was really tired. And so for me, I've just been praying with him. I've just been in the secret place, and if there's songs that have been moving me, I'll be worshiping with him. And so I actually am just now beginning to sit back down and to write. But I also have moved along in this process enough and partnered with the Lord long enough that I could sense in my spirit that he wanted me to rest. And I wanted to incredibly lean into that. And so it's just really been a marked season of radical stripping and obedience and simplicity. And really just getting back and being reconnected again with the audience of one. So I've really just began to write. And so it's for the most part in the very, very basic beginning stages. If there is a project, because I also told the Lord, I'm like, it's fine. I don't need to do another project if you don't want me to. I just really want to follow your heart, like wherever you want to take me. There is nothing more satisfying for me than leading a whole congregation of people. And we're like this whole body, this whole family, and we're all connected and we're just worshiping the Lord in his presence. Yeah, so I'll be really pressing in and leaning in for that.
I think that the gift of rest that the Lord offered you is something that a lot of musicians maybe need to take sometimes, even when it's difficult or uncomfortable and they're afraid, like, I'm not playing, what am I going to do? You're resting in the Lord. That's what you're doing, right? And there's such value to that.
Slow my pace to catch my breath and feel just like a wave washes over me again. I sink as a stone, afraid to move, but mercy like a sail brings me back to you. Keeps calling me higher, higher, as deep calls out to deep. My weary soul grows lighter, lighter, just as the deer longs for the stream.
What's the best place for people to go and find you or follow you?
Well, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Teresa Peterson Music. That's also my website, so teresapetersonmusic.com. So it's Teresa like the mother, so no H. And for the most part, I'm pretty active on Instagram and Facebook. So usually put out, and if I'm going to be touring or booking, et cetera.
You guys, you got to go listen to her music. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Music, anywhere music can be played. Go check out our website, teresapetersonmusic.com. Thank you so much for being here, Teresa. You're amazing. Your songs are such a gift to people's hearts, and the Spirit is truly working up there in Minnesota through you and through your ministry. Thank you guys so much for joining us on Beats today. We can't wait to see you next time. Please tune in. And until then, God bless and peace.
In the silence surrounding me, in the stillness, I hear you whispering in the wreckage of all my misery. You are faithful.
That was amazing, don't you think? Guessing who's next? Follow us on Instagram. Let us know if there's an artist you want to hear from. drop us an email at podcast@shalomworld.org. Your donation keeps us upbeat and running so. Head over to shalomworld.org/donate and keep it coming. Learn about Shalom World podcasts on shalomworld.org. Want to know when next episode drops? Make sure you follow us at Shalom World Podcasts. Shalom World Podcasts is now available on all online platforms, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and others.